Okay, so hi guys. Sonny and Stu have been in contact with me to see if I can answer some of your guys' questions. So obviously during this lockdown period, everyone's a bit of got a lot of free time on their hands and all that. So shoot away. What I'll do is I'll just look through your video questions and I'll answer them as best as I can, and hopefully go in a bit of detail on some things. But what I'm firstly going to do is basically explain who I am. You probably might have not seen me, you might have seen me, you might know of me. So my name's Caleb Hughes. I was a GB or open water swimmer professionally. What I did was I swam from about the age of 9 to about the age of 23. After that period of time, I've competed in 2 World Championships, as well as 4 European Championships and multiple European Junior Championships and World Junior Championships as well. Which medals I've come out with? I've come out with a European medal. I've got one World Junior, one World Junior medal, and also I've got three European Junior medals. One being gold, one being bronze, and one's been silver. Yep, silver. And I also at some point in time held a World Junior record in the 4x200 meter pool, which was at the Dubai pool in 2014 or 15. None of that, actually it was 13. 2013, I believe it was. So what I'm going to do is just going to shoot through, have a watch of your videos and answer the questions as best as I can. Right, so to start off with, let's see what we have.
Hi Caleb, I'm a master swimmer for the BSM Marlins. I swim competitively in a pool, but I've never actually swum open water. As the situation is today, the only way I'm going to get back into swimming right now is by starting some open water swimming. What would be your main tips for someone who wants to start open water swimming, has never done it before, and is a little terrified of jellyfish?
Okay, so first question, getting into open water swimming and being a bit scared of jellyfish. It's quite a common thing, obviously. The races that I have done in the past have normally been warm water swims, so things like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, we've done Australia, where else have we done that's warm? Tenerife, Mallorca. A lot of races happen around in those warm climates because it's a lot more easier to control, such as at Cancun we've done before. Jellyfish, what you normally find is a lot of them, they might give a little bit of sting. Some of them, like when we swam in actually Australia, as weird as it was, the jellyfish over there didn't sting, but there were just hundreds of them. What I would say is just check what type of jellyfish you have in your area. Make sure there isn't anything like a Portuguese man-of-war. Obviously those things are very dangerous, but that's very unlikely that you'll come into those because they're so long and they're normally in very deep water. So the best type of bet of being scared of jellyfish, I'd say maybe swim closer to shore and maybe try, if there is, you'll normally find that there's huddles of jellyfish because they come in with waves and normally float with the sea and tide. If there aren't any in the water at that certain point, it's very unlikely you'll encounter one. And if you do, just obviously pay attention to where it is, swim around it, and normally you'll be fine. But most jellyfish, even if they do sting, like if you've ever gone through my Instagram profile, which I'll leave a link just over here for, you'll see that I've got some pictures back from 2012 or something like that, where I've got jellyfish stings and all that. They're fairly sore, but they're not anything that it's like a very bad stinging nettle if you've ever had one of them, and they just leave a little bit of a mark, and then about 3 or 2 days later they've disappeared and you don't even know you've had one. So don't be too scared of jellyfish. Obviously just make sure what type you have in your areas, and just avoid them if you can. Swim around them, not normally an issue. But then getting into open water, I say always take somebody that either is there on the shore side watching you, or even if you can get somebody out in a kayak or something like that to watch you on the shoreline, because as much as it seems like I'm really good at swimming, I swam all my whole life, I've even got myself into situations, and I used to surf as well, so I would swim against currents and tides, and basically that's my speciality. And so I used to actually train for that type of stuff, and I've even got myself in situations where it's quite hard actually swimming back into if you're stuck in a rip swell and all that. But normally, from what I believe in the Dubai type location, there's not normally that much currents in that type of pool. So just obviously be wary about where you are. Have maybe somebody watching over, just an extra bit of safety. But apart from that, just try and enjoy it. Normally you'll feel a lot more free than you would do in the pool. Okay, moving on to the next question.
Hello Caleb, I have a couple questions for you. So my first one is, when you're swimming in the sea and you're like sighting for buoys, how do you do that so you don't lose power or momentum in your stroke, so you don't slow down? And my second question is, do you mainly train in the pool or the sea, and like how do you like balance between the two? Okay, bye. Hope you're keeping safe.
Thank you. Yes, I'm keeping safe. So the difference between pool and open water, a lot of people say they have two strokes if they swim, especially triathletes, and that you find that. Swimming open water, I wouldn't say there's a specific thing. There's always going to be a case when you either don't have your same pool strokes. So in terms of a pool's a stable environment, you can pull the water's always going to be there, and that's the way you move forward in the pool. It's the exact same in open water. Some strokes have, like say, a current working against you, so your stroke has to change a little bit. So in terms of, we have a few races that we used to do that would be in a high wave passover. So basically it'd be on in tides, so you'd have a lot of waves and a lot of chop, basically is what we'll call it chop. And we used to have to actually swim sort of up a semi-wave and then down the wave, and that causes a lot of losses in the stroke. It's just something you sort of have to take care of. It's not anything of, oh, I've lost as my stroke technique, or that. You mainly find a lot of open water swimmers either don't have the best techniques in open water, or they are very their stroke changes depending on what the conditions are, and all it is basically just trying to make sure that you're keeping as efficient in your swimming and moving as fast as you can, basically, without using too much effort. And so if, let's say, you've got a really high chop, you normally find a lot of swimmers do a lurching motion, which is a thing of where you have like a very high stroke and to go over the wave and then a break stroke. So in terms of it's a very high elbow motion, and it's a lot of roll, and that's just to basically break your way through the stroke. If you look at surfers when they're ever going against waves, it's the exact same thing, and it's just different types of strokes that will help with accommodating with the conditions. A lot of races actually ended up being in a river or lake, so there wasn't too much say high chop or that type of thing going on, and so you'd find a lot of people actually just normally swimming, and it's not too much any difference you have between the things. But coming into the question about what did I train, whether it be pool or open water, I trained mainly, actually I'd say 99% of my time in a pool. In the UK, obviously we don't have the bliss weather of what you guys have over there, and like Australia and that do. So most of our training is actually done in the pool, and it's quite, you'll find a lot of open water swimmers, specific open water swimmers, will train in the pool specifically the whole time. And the only reason they do it is because you can't really train type of speed sets, power sets and endurance sets in open water. You can do endurance in open water, but what you find is you'll just be swimming for a very long period of time, and you'll have no concept of actually how long that actually takes, and so your timing becomes a lot off. Whereas when we do it in pool, we know that when we used to train for certain events, we'd have to hold basically a 108 pace for 10k. So we'd do something like, say, 60 100s, holding basically paces between 104 and 108, because we knew that the race paces would change, and the only way that you can actually accommodate and get your body used to holding those types of paces is to do them in a pool. So we trained actually mainly in the pool when it came down to that situation. Okay, moving on to the next question.
Hi, my question is, at what point did you decide that you wanted to start doing open water swimming, and why did you prefer it to pool swimming?
Okay, great question. So why did I start open water swimming? So I actually didn't sort of decide to start doing open water swimming. I was a swimmer that Sonny, my and Stu might have told you, I used to do all the races. So I used to race from, 100 meters freestyle up to 1500 meters freestyle, and IMs and breaststroke, backstroke, and fly. So I literally did every race across the board when I was younger. I only actually went into open water because my 1500 used to be what you could class as a stronger event for me. It wasn't saying that my other events weren't strong, so in terms of in comparison, at age 15 I'd win 200 meters freestyle and come second on 100 meters freestyle at national championships, whereas I'd still also win the 1500. The difference came in is the battle of distance, where obviously you'd win by 1500 I won by quite a lot, and then obviously in the shorter events they're a lot closer, so it's not normally that much. But what normally happened is if you won like a longer distance race, the open water program would basically bring you onto certain camps and jaws, and you'd basically do an open water race because you've done very well in a long distance race in the pool. And so I was actually pulled in just because of my 1500 back when I was younger, and I did my first race, which was a European Cup in Israel, and I had never really done open water too much before, and I was put into this type of situation where I was doing a 10k for the first time, never done 10k in my life before, and I actually did quite well. So after that, I think I was about 14 years old or something around that age, 14 or 15, one of those ages. But when I came through, I finished about 6th in that race, and it was a European Championships, not Championships, Len Cup, so European like national cup, so not the actual championships, but they have European cups around the place. When I came 6th in that, which was actually quite a good result considering the team we had over there, and so from that it sort of just kept growing, because then I made my European junior selection, which then was the highest GB ranked Brit, and then it just continued through. So I just kept having good performances in open water, and it really started to actually sort of just become my forte, and so I sort of just got pulled into open water, and that's where it sort of took off from there. So hi guys again. As you can see, I'm wearing a different top, so it's a different day. I'm going to edit all these videos back in together. There is going to be 3 parts of this video, so remember I'll label them up, so there'll be a part 1, part 2, part 3. Be sure to watch them all. There's a lot of different questions around open water swimming, and sometimes other questions involve that, and to get obviously all the answers you'll have to watch all 3 parts.